Welcome to the Cool Fireman Podcast, a virtual firehouse kitchen table with Matt, Adam, Brian, Doug, and Freddie, where they discuss everything that matters in today's fire service. Now let's get to the show.
We had a box fan going on at FDIC, Brian, and it was so loud.
I heard this.
I was afraid we weren't.
I heard the episode, and I was laughing because when you talked about how loud it was, and you said it was like an airplane blades or something like that. I don't remember. It's been a couple weeks, but I was like, yes. If you live in the South, like you could have like a tornado come through, but if you turned off that box fan, you're waking up, bro. You're waking up.
Yeah. I was afraid that we weren't going to wake up to like your phone, in the morning for the alarm because it was just so loud in there. But it was nice. It was nice. We figured
that is what we call living. That is living.
Yeah.
I love it.
Living. All right. Let's get to it. Welcome back to the Cool Fireman Podcast. Today you got Doug, Brian, and Matt. Unky might be making it in. We don't know where he is. He's off the map. He's in a 48-hour slumber, I think. I'm not sure. Today's topic, we've got a special guest today, and she'll be on in a little bit. We're trying something new today, folks, so that our guests don't have to sit through this housekeeping. But yeah, her name is Erin Jane. She's a first responder wellness coach. So we're going to talk a little bit about, she has a little bit of a background in suicide prevention as a crisis counselor. And in the mental health aspect. And so it'll be really interesting. I told her, we keep talking about wanting to hit the young guys, and with the awareness of the PTSD or PTS. So a lot of people don't like to call it the disorder anymore. It's just the post-traumatic syndrome. So we're going to have her on. It's going to be awesome. She's from Australia. She is Australia. Hello, mate. She ends everything with cheers, mate. And I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. But she was a cop and a detective, I believe. She's married to a fireman of 24 years. So she has that first responder. She's in that world. So it'll be really good to hear from her. So we'll see her in a little bit. But first, let's do some housekeeping.
Folks, it's time for housekeeping.
All right, housekeeping. Hey, folks, it's good to see you back, Brian.
Thank you. Glad to be back, man. It has been a whirlwind. I was telling Matt before we hit the record, I've been blessed. I've been trying to prioritize faith, family, and then fire. And so I thank y'all for the little bit of grace. The night that we record this, I'm actually away traveling for work, but it's my son's birthday. So happy 15th birthday, Jackson. Congratulations to him, freshman year. Him and only 5 others competed today in the regionals for golf. And tomorrow, my son, they have first round of playoffs in baseball. So I'm just trying to soak in being a dad.
Oops, excuse me. That's awesome.
He won't hear his happy birthday till a week later.
I know, but
that's all right.
He'll be tickled that I said it on the show. So that's all that matters.
The thought, and hey, for a new golfer, that kid's got a good golf swing.
Yeah. He does. You have to go check him out on Instagram.
Something really.
I will.
Yeah. Hey, something really exciting for the Cool Fireman Podcast. April was a really good month for us. People loved the true or false. It got people engaged like crazy on not just social media, but thankfully it kind of translated into some new followership. And so if you're a new follower, a new listener of the Cool Fireman Podcast, first and foremost from all of us, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are trying to broaden our reach. We are trying to, reach as many people as we can. That's kind of our goal. But, what is the Cool Fireman Podcast? I mean, we're just a bunch of firemen from all across the country that just talk topics of the fire service. And it's nothing. We're not reinventing any wheels. We are literally just continuing the good word, baby. You know what I mean? We bring up leadership, culture, tactics, strategies. We talk about cancer prevention, mental health awareness, all this great stuff. We talked about, helping your others. Like last week, we talked about if you got a guy or a girl that's down and not able to come to work, figure out how to help their family. All these great things. But this is nothing that we've made up. This is just literally us continuing a great conversation. And that's part of our mission statement here. And so if you are a new follower, welcome. And I also wanted to take a brief second to just say thank you to all of our listeners that have been with us from day one. I mean, the amount of just amazing comments we get. And I'm not going to start naming names because there's a lot of them and I will miss somebody and I don't want to do that. Got to meet a bunch of them at FDIC, super fun, but that's what the Cool Fireman podcast is all about. So, Doug, do we have anything? I know we have to do a wheel of names for a turnout drill, but I don't think we have any new ones. We literally just recorded not that long ago.
No, we don't have any new Patreon subscribers that we didn't mention last episode. Crummy Packer messaged me again today. He touched base with me because I told you I would see him at the NFFF this weekend, or NFFM. I ended up not going. Thursday. Thursday. Well, he messaged me and asked me, he's like, where you at? And I told him the whole story. And then today he was like, oh, you just used your dog as an excuse, huh? You just didn't want to tell me I won because you couldn't keep a secret. But no, Thursday, my dog dislocated his hip, and we found out he has to have femoral head surgery. So we had to kind of limp him around all weekend, and then I had some other familial issues that I'll share it with y'all. It's fine. My daughter is moving back in with us. My 17-year-old daughter. She'll be 18 in July.
Oh,
last 3 or 4 years, she's kind of bounced back and forth between my house and mom's house, and let me put this as gentle as possible. She's finally started to see the light, and she's like, I can't do it anymore, Dad. Can I come back? I was like, honey, you're always welcome here. So, daughter, that was Friday. So I was like, hey, Chief, I got a lot of stuff going on that I really don't need to be 4 hours from home to be, in case something happens. With the magnitude of animals and crap that I have, like with Anderson, my dog, with him having to stay, he's not supposed to be walking at all, which is impossible for him. But with the amount of other stuff that has to happen, it's just difficult for really, she couldn't do it by herself. So anyway, I say all that to say this. I didn't go. I'm bummed I didn't go, but he messaged me and was like, oh, you couldn't keep a secret, huh? So, yeah.
So I'm sorry to hear that because I know like you got goosebumps when you would talk about it. Like you were super excited to go.
I was so jazzed to go, man. And seeing and my department shared a bunch of pictures and seeing the whole sea of guys carrying flags. And Crummy said this is the second year in a row he's rang the bell at the opening ceremonies, and I'm like, dude, this is like I got goosebumps now talking about it. Like, dude, it's just it's such a harrowing, hallowed place when you walk up there. It's amazing. Mm-hmm. I'm really glad that my other two guys got to go, and we represented my department well, and we put our two guys up there on the memorial, and their families were there. So I'm glad we did it.
All right, good. And speaking of Crummy, congratulations to Crummy the Crumb Packer for winning May's Patreon perks for the month. So Unky will be sending you a package of toenails, toenail clippers, tweezers, and some paper clips. No, I'm just kidding. Well, maybe in a baggie, but then you're going to get some other great stuff. So you look out for that.
Probably some belly button lint, though.
Yeah, belly button lint. We didn't have any new Patreon subscribers because we've had so many over the last week that we had already talked about for this episode that dropped now last week because this is when we're recording. And so we're super stoked. And the guys are in the chat talking about the community that we're building on Patreon. It's $2 a month, man. I mean, this is all just going to broaden our reach. We're going to end up using this money to, expand meta, advertisement, whatever for the podcast. So we really appreciate you guys. But more than anything, we appreciate the community. We love you guys. So let's do real quick. Let's get the share screen, and we will get a little wheel of names going. And so since this is a turnout drill, it's both rookie and engineer, which we don't have any rookie. Mm-mm. Thanks, guys. And it looks like the advertisement for today is Samsung. So we're not paid for it by Samsung. But anyway, so we're going to do a wheel of names. This is all the names, free and engineer subscribers. So I think it's like 33 names. So 1 in 33 chance we'll get you on the next podcast to do a turnout drill. All right, here we go. Where the wheel stops, nobody knows. Oh my God, I thought it was going to be Ricky.
Yes.
All right,
I wanted it to be Quinn. Like in my mind, I was thinking, how cool would it be if it was Quinn?
All right. Perfect. Little Quinn, we're going to have in fact, you know what? We're going to have to try to figure out a way to do video instead of just doing it via email. So we'll have to try to figure out a way to get him on. I might just do it separate, and then we'll just add it in post-production.
Yeah, just do him in the Patreon episode that we do, or Patreon stuff that we do before, and then just clip it in. You think that would work?
Absolutely. Well, absolutely.
So he gets to come in.
Look at Doug with
So
the big brain. Man.
So not just him, but everybody who wins. Like we could bring them in after they win and kick the shit with us for 10 to 15 minutes, and then, all right, hey man, peace. We got to go. We got to record. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it'd be great to, have those guys on for 15, 20 minutes, however long we talk shit. You know what I mean?
Good news
we'll
is you ain't got to stay.
Work out those logistics.
You ain't got to go home, but bad news is you can't stay here. We got a guest. Goodbye. No, I'm just kidding. We love him.
Yeah, exactly. All right, moving on. So that's our Patreon merch, thecoolfireman.com. Go check it out. Get some merch, and then sponsors. Before we do our actual what?
I have a list.
Of
guests lined up.
Oh yeah,
we have a lot of things coming in the very near future.
Yes, we do, and they're all super great.
Several awesome guests coming on in the very near future.
I can't wait. All right.
Confirmed.
Before we do our normal sponsors of Unky and the Burn Box, I did want to make a mention of Kenny. I've been talking to Kenny back and forth. He's a huge supporter of the Cool Fireman podcast. And he was out. I'm not exactly sure where he was, but he was doing a talk, and he was maybe in Ohio, and he pushed us out. Well, he's in Ohio today. I don't know if he was when he pushed us out. Anyways, he shouted us out. He shouted us out on his podcast. Go check it out. It's Operation Yellow Tape. Kenny Mitchell Jr. Look him up, kennymitchelljr.com, and you can find it out. He's doing amazing stuff, talking about stuff that happens inside and outside the Yellow Tape. Kenny, we love you, buddy. Every Monday morning when we drop, we get an audio message that's about anywhere from 3 minutes to 12 minutes long of Kenny, typically 12 minutes long. And so he's telling us how much he loves the podcast, but then he gives us his perspective of the topic, and I love it. I almost want to figure out a way to splice that into social media or something.
It's great feedback because it's how the listener is interpreting the conversation and the topic. And while we're on that, October 3rd will be Kenny's annual event here in Virginia. He sent us a flyer. We'll get that posted when we talk about this. We'll post it throughout the week. I told him we'd mention it every week, every episode leading up to that. So October 3rd, which is actually a day I don't have to work this year. So that's great.
October 3rd is his 5th annual event for Operation Yellow Tape. It'll be an all-day event with speakers and a whole bunch of sponsors. I mean, it's going to be great. Lunch and the whole deal. So go check him out. And then UnkySeasoning.com is a big sponsor. Of course, it's Adam from here as a co-host. But we love Unky's. He was selling stuff at FDIC. People were coming up to him, taking him photos, and of course, he was sticking his head over the little like shelving things that we had at FDIC, going, "I had another one that wanted to take a picture." He's just giving a shit the whole time. It was great. So everybody loves Unky. He's America's favorite uncle, and we truly believe that. So too bad he's not here with us right now. Hopefully for this episode, though, he jumps on with Erin, so we'll see. But let's do a short promo for Unky Seasoning.
From the firehouse to your house, Unky's Seasoning packs bold, firehouse-tested flavor into every meal. Whether you're grilling, roasting, or just sprinkling it on your favorite snacks, our blends turn everyday eats into unforgettable bites. Pick your flavor, shake it on, and taste why it's Firehouse approved. Go to UnkySeasoning.com.
Awesome. Very good. And then, of course, Burnbox. Check out Burnbox. Go to theburnbox.com and figure that you need to get in there. If you're on the fence whether or not you want one or not, it's a good deal, man. $60 for this month. It was $153.97 worth of stuff, dude.
Yeah, if you bought everything at retail, yep.
It was all AutoX stuff. You get a new pair of utility gloves. Those things are heavy duty too. Those are nice.
Yeah.
You get a knife. We got a T-shirt. We got. And it was like a drive fast and pray. I forget what the slogan was, but anyways, good stuff. So let's do a quick promo for the Burn Box.
Brought to you by the Burn Box, the #1 firefighter subscription box. The Burn Box celebrates firefighter products and firefighter-owned and operated businesses. Start today and receive a monthly box of firefighter apparel, gear, and tools. Check them out at theburnbox.com.
Awesome. Very good. And last but not least, what?
We are also talking to at least one potential sponsor to be added.
Yeah, we'll see.
Cross your fingers because I love this one.
Yeah. All right.
If
this one works out, we're going to
huge. It'd be huge.
It'll be really fun. I mean, we'll make one full podcast just about it because this is going to be amazing. So just everybody pray for us that it works out. We can.
We'll have to get Hammond on for that one.
Yes.
Oh, there you go. That would be really good. Holy shit, we might blow the top off. Very good. Moment of silence, folks. I don't have anybody near and dear. I should. We did have somebody that died in San Diego County. I don't know how much about it, but I'm going to find out more information about it, and then we'll have it. We'll honor him next week. But I don't have any other ones. Do you guys have any moment of silence honorees?
I don't. I just want to acknowledge, specifically, I do want to acknowledge, to Doug's point, all the families that were recognized last weekend in Emmitsburg, and kind of what they're going through, and kind of to the point of what Kenny said. Somebody at a funeral had made a comment. And it stuck with me, is that, I say when I know that someone has lost something, that I pray that God brings peace and comfort in the quiet times, right? And Kenny kind of talked a little bit about that today in our voice memo, is like, it needs to be not just immediately, it needs to be weeks after. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and listen to the last episode, because I listened to it on my drive up today to where I'm at. And I think that that's kind of true. When these families have lost something and they go back to Emmitsburg, the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation really is about creating a network of those who have lost somebody in the line of duty. And so I want to acknowledge them for whenever it was. And that I just want to say that I pray God brings peace and comfort in the quiet times, because that's when people think about those moments of the lost loved ones. When it was something that person did, and now they're not there to do it anymore, or it's a special day in their life and they're not there. So I would say not so much for the people we lost right now, but the people that have been lost over time.
Very good. Well said, Brian. Let's give a short moment of silence for all those families that we're thinking about from last week at Emmitsburg, and for any first responders we may have lost in the last week. All right, well said. Amen.
Amen.
All right, folks, it is that time. Erin is in the green room. We're going to go ahead and let her in, and we'll get along with the show. All right, folks, as promised, we have our special guest here, and she goes by Erin Jane or Erin Jane. We talked about this before we hit record, and I thought I would just bring it up by that. But she's also a first responder wellness coach, and so we got in contact from Kenny Mitchell through Operation Yellow Tape, and he had nothing but amazing things, and he kept saying, "Hey, you gotta have Erin. Hey, you gotta get Erin. Hey, you gotta get Erin." It's like, okay, Kenny, for the love of Pete. The Cool Fireman podcast really isn't the most well-oiled machine, so it takes us a little bit of time to get some of the best people on. So now we got Erin here. Welcome, Erin.
G'day, guys. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes.
And if you didn't notice, she's not from here.
Thanks, Doug.
Yeah. But there's no subtitles, so you're just going to have to deal with it.
Yeah, no subtitles today. Yeah, you just have to figure it out.
Those are usually for me.
Right. Yeah, we don't know half of what Doug says until afterwards, and then we just shake our head. But that's okay.
I sound a lot like Boomhauer from King of the Hill.
I think you sound like Bob Barker personally, but that's just me.
I don't know about that.
Anyways. All right, whatever. We can talk about it later.
Anyway,
we have a special guest on here, folks.
I'm here for the banter. It's fine.
All right, good. So Erin was a former cop and detective. Is that true?
It is true. Yep.
Wow, very nice. Upgrade. And she's the wife of a 24-year-on fire captain. And, she's got a lot of good perspective on firefighter wellness, mental health awareness, and all that good stuff. And so we're always down. In fact, we got to have Kenny back on too. We've had Greg on from the Radcast, and we love to talk about firefighter wellness. And you and I were texting back and forth a little bit before the show, and I just said, is there anything specific? And we kind of came to the fact like, we'll just see how it goes. But our main, like my kind of mission with this podcast and spreading awareness is like getting the young guys.
Yeah.
And fortunately, we have a lot in our audience of new wannabe firefighters and new firefighters.
Yeah.
And so this is all stuff that needs to be talked about in fire academies and in the schools where these kids are, you know what I mean? It's like just the awareness of PTS and all this great stuff. So I just want to be very vague and just kind of say hi. And if you want to introduce yourself and kind of what got you into the wellness thing. I mean, you were a cop, and then how did that kind of transition into, Kenny says hi via text, by the way. He's deciding to interrupt our show. So yeah, how did you kind of get into the wellness? Was there something that happened, or you just want to help out? How does that look?
Yeah. So obviously, first of all, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I was a police officer and detective in Australia for 9 years. I was stolen from that career path by my darling firefighter husband.
Swooped you.
Yes, he truly did. We met in a bar in Berlin, Germany, and 9 months later, and I just want to state I was not pregnant, but met and married, because it's a challenging time frame to explain to people. I met and married in 9 months, and it just kind of made sense for our family circumstances and everything for me to move over here. I was 9 years into my career. He was 12. So I made the move over here, and I'm not one to comfortably sit and just do nothing. So I sort of looked for volunteer opportunities when I first came over here, and I found a suicide prevention and crisis counseling organization in Boston. So I went and volunteered there as a call taker, and then once my work authorization came through, they hired me as a supervisor. And so I worked there up until just after I had our first son. And sort of my life had been touched early on by the loss of my father to suicide. So it was sort of something that I had always been obviously very interested in, passionate about, clearly had come across suicide during my policing career, being the investigator for those kinds of deaths, obviously attended the scenes, spoken with many people suffering from suicidal ideation, all that kind of thing. And so that was kind of just an area of passion for me, and really just wanting to help. Like pretty much every job I've ever had has just been about me wanting to help people. I think I'm very fortunate that, and part of the reason why my business and everything, and why I go by Erin Jane, it's what my one of my grandmothers used to call me, and she had a really big, beautiful heart, and I think that I was lucky enough to inherit even just a smidge, like a tiny amount of her big, beautiful heart. And I feel like that is a gift. I feel like my policing career gave me the skills to be able to compartmentalize really, really well. So I can hold space and allow that space and hold that for people, for them sharing. And again, why I call things the things that, the reason I call them, like, I'll hold space for your darkness, which is the name of my podcast. I have the capacity to do that for other people. So that's kind of what drove me in that direction, and hold space for it, but not let it impact me in that way. And just obviously have really healthy coping skills and strategies, which I've worked on over the time. And, obviously being married to a first responder, and a lot of my friends back home are still in those roles. It's still my everyday reality. So sort of combining my passion for wanting to help people and being drawn to the conversation style of helping people, being someone that can just listen without judgment and just hold space for them, even if that means just sitting there in silence sometimes, which was something obviously that, you kind of tended to do a lot on the crisis line. Sometimes people just needed to be able to say it out loud, and there's a vast difference between someone admitting to having suicidal ideation and having intention. Like it's a vast spectrum. So having that nuanced understanding of that, I think, is also pretty helpful when it comes to this population. So my husband and I have two boys, and sort of after I had the second one, I've been a stay-at-home mum for most of the time, and I was kind of just like, I was in my sort of mid to late 30s. I'm like, what do I want to do with the rest of my life? And I knew it was just to help people in some way. And I knew getting some kind of counseling or psychology qualification was going to take a little bit longer. So that's why I went down the coaching path and got my coaching certifications and qualifications. And really just kind of having conversations with sort of some first responder friends, in particular after COVID. And the first time I went back home, we couldn't go home for 3 years. And so we went back home and a lot of
3 years.
Yeah, I was locked out of my country for 3 years. That was a fun time. Yeah. So I basically just kind of saw a gap between, first responders, the people that they felt comfortable talking to, and the people they actually went and talked to. So, peer support here is a great thing and a great resource, and a little more available than what it is sort of back home. It's getting there a little bit more now, but it wasn't throughout the time of my career. There wasn't really a peer support type of thing. And then you've got the clinical support, therapists, psychiatrists, psychologists, all of that kind of thing. But there's a really vast area in between that. And I feel like if you need to talk to more than just a friend, a colleague, or a spouse, but either you don't feel like you need to talk to a clinician, or you are hesitant, or that stigma is roving around, or that kind of thing. I felt like there needed to be another option. And obviously I'm not the only person who does it. But I just felt like that was kind of where I landed. And then obviously since starting that, first responder wellness coaching for responders and spouses, having, served as a responder and then also being the spouse of one, I feel like I have a bit of a different kind of insight into, both sides of the coin, and can help offer that perspective at times. And I'm also studying counselling and psychology through Australian institutions. So I'm working towards my counselling accreditation there. So basically, once I'm a qualified counsellor there, I can serve them during sort of outside of business hours, because living in Boston, my daytime is their nighttime. But obviously they're the same as us over here, that to go and see a counsellor or a therapist, it's normally during those 8 to 4, 9 to 5 kind of hours. So to then be able to offer myself as a resource to first responder organizations to go, hey, if one of your troops needs to talk to someone at 9 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock after a shift, and they've had a critical incident and they need to talk to someone, I'm here, I'm awake. So that's the cliff notes, I guess, on everything.
Awesome. And you don't have just a little piece of your grandmother's heart. I can tell you have a huge heart, and don't put yourself down ever. I know that we talked about this before. It's hard to talk about ourselves, but we are here, and we'll do it for you. So I want to say first and foremost, thank you for doing what you're doing, because it's, the stigma, especially in the fire service and the police service and, the military service, is being proud and just, there's nothing wrong with me. But I just want to say thank you for doing what you're doing. And there is absolutely, in my opinion, a place for, where you're at now. I think you said that you're just wanting to study to kind of go to clinical route. Is that true or no?
So I'm currently studying, but it's in Australia, so I won't be sort of licensed here. I will be accredited there, but that's a purposeful decision, because I feel pulled to serve the people that I left behind, if that makes sense. And I sort of want to I guess, my dream is for us to kind of live an existence where we spend a little bit more time back home. So being able to be of service and have that qualification there, and, essentially can still offer the same skill set, but just under a coaching banner here. And, as well as, I know we'll talk about it later, but I do sort of a couple of other, random bits and pieces with the radio station and the podcast, and been really fortunate to have some speaking opportunities come my way as well. So I guess I'm sort of just, in a place where I'm like building something in both countries so that I can help as many people as possible, but also, I feel pulled in both directions. So that's
awesome.
That's the hope.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be one person to tell you, just, make sure you look out for yourself. And
absolutely.
And you said something that kind of we've talked about, before. I've talked about it on different podcasts, is about the people that, and you stated as, it's not the first time I heard the word compartmentalize, and you're able to kind of compartmentalize. And so, like, Doug and Brian and even yourself, you've been on calls, even when you're on patrol, when we're out on the fire engine, we see gnarly stuff.
Yeah.
That's what we try. Like they say, how do you see all that stuff? Like heads, off and limbs severed and blood, and you get puke. I mean, I've had other people's puke in my mouth. You know what I mean? Like, how do you deal with that?
Okay.
And it's like, I almost say it as like, when I'm on scene, when I'm on a call, I'm working.
Yeah.
There's nothing really emotional about it for me. It's just, I have a job to do. And so if you want to call that compartmentalize, we might be able to. But I just think of it as like, I have a job to do, and I have protocols I have to follow, and I'm going to do everything as efficient as I can to try to save your life, whatever that is, right? You could be in a burning building and I had to get you with a hose and on air, but it could also be a car accident.
Yeah. It's prioritization.
What's that?
It's prioritization. You're
Prioritizing.
Yeah, thank you. Jesus Christ. I told you I need subtitles. It's prioritizing what needs to happen, and at that point they come before you, and you're coming after that.
Yeah.
Well, and it's also it's all like, so I call it work mode. I switch into work mode, and like I'm out now. Obviously, I've been out for a long time. You don't lose that capacity. You know what I mean? It's like, you even notice, and I'm not sure if all of you have children, but it's like, if like one of your little kids hurts themselves, and it's like, they're looking at you to gauge how they're meant to react. And if you stay calm, they stay calm. So it's the same kind of thing. You can switch into that work mode. And I guess the danger comes when, it's behavioral modification. Like, we learn where we're trained to be able to do it, but we don't also get taught how to like switch it back on to then be able to process it and, heal from it and do all of the things to unpack it so it doesn't stay with us. So I think that's a missing element that I think a lot of people forget too. It's like, we can compartmentalize, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't impact us. It doesn't mean that it doesn't affect us. But if we're not unpacking it after the fact, when it's appropriate and when it's the time to, that's where we can get into strife.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of that happens in the fire engine cab or around the kitchen table. And it's we've talked about this before, and it's true, and it can be reiterated a million times. But that cab therapy, I missed it. I was off for 6 months, had a heart attack at 38 about 3.5 years ago.
Oh my
and
goodness.
I was out of work for six or 7 months, and I missed that. When I got back to work, I told the guys, I looked over at my captain, I was an engineer at the time, and I was like, I miss this. I miss these laughs. And, you go on a call, you see something gnarly, and it's like, you make fun of it. It's terrible. It's morbid. It's so dark, but it's like how we cope. It's like a coping mechanism for us.
Yeah, for sure.
But you know what? They've been doing that since the dawn of time, right? So it's like, why isn't that enough, right? And so before I go on, I wanted to bring up another thing that you had mentioned. And you said that you're able to kind of take it on for people, like you're able to compartmentalize, but I think you described it more as like compartmentalization, but like I have asked the question in this realm of like, if you are a peer support network person and you're listening to other people's problems just all day long, like people are calling you, hey, I need help. Hey, I need help. You're like grabbing these burdens and they're just like, how do you shed them, yourself? But the way that they explained it to me is that you don't actually carry their burdens.
No.
And so I don't know, do you have a good way of kind of explaining that process? Like what is your opinion on a lot of people coming to Erin, Coach Erin, and they're dumping their problems on your shoulders, but not necessarily, right? Because you can't do that. I mean, you would end up, on the crisis hotline.
Exactly.
Right. So what do you think about that?
I mean, it's a valid point and it is a valid question. And that's why you can only go into this kind of role with any kind of helping role. I think if you do have that capacity, I think knowing yourself very well, knowing, when you perhaps are reaching that level of compassion fatigue, because that is a real thing. And I'm sure a lot of us have experienced it, but even... Yeah. But I think as well, it's even in the phrasing of how I say it, like, and it's what I named the podcast because it came from like my favorite quote, but it's, I will hold space for your darkness. So it's not my darkness. They're not, that's not my trauma. It's not my challenges or that kind of thing. And weirdly enough, you can almost feel a little selfish doing the kind of work that I do, because to see the impact of just holding space for someone, of just letting them unburden themselves, is incredibly powerful. Just having a backwards and forwards, just like we are right now, and people coming to realizations just after, maybe asking them a couple of key questions, but things that they wouldn't necessarily think to ask themselves, or me noticing something in their language or their demeanor or their inflection that they put on a certain word. And then I'm like, there's something there type of thing. But equally, I take really good care of myself. And that has been a process that I've had to learn over time. Learn as a busy mum of two crazy, crazy boys, an equally crazy firefighter husband. You learn to navigate that. So part of me, like looking after myself is, I work out, I get up at 5 a.m. every single day. So the first thing I do is I work out and I do something for myself every single day. So the only reason that changes is if my hubby's upgraded and I'm like putting his breakfast on when I'm like off to get dressed or something like that. So it might change in the fact that I might be doing something a little bit for him, the first thing. But looking after myself, doing that really integral thing, because you think that you're looking after your physicality, but I got injured sort of middle of last year, and I guess I didn't realize how much my mental health had been tied to my physical health. But yeah, for me, doing that one thing for myself that makes me feel really good and I get that endorphins and all of the things, I do that for myself every single day, and that kind of starts my day and it sets the intention for the day really, really well. So I have that capacity, and equally just understanding. So I don't know if you've heard the term of like self-compassion. So equally being able to offer the same compassion that I would give to a client or a friend or a loved one, offering that to myself. Comes in very, very handy when you have young children. Your hubby has a lot of hobbies that take him away. So my husband is a hunter. Obviously he's gone for 24 hours a week, and he's also a big metalhead. So he will go to Finland or different countries in Europe and go see Iron Maiden or, whatever floats his boat. So like his length of trips are shorter now, but
it took me a second. I thought you said muscle, and I was like, she said metal. You had to.
Sorry.
You had to say Iron Maiden for me to understand. I was like, he's what kind of head? Okay, I get it now.
Exactly. Matt's got the idea. But so learning to just have some kind of like acceptance of like, I'm human. Like I'm a very positive, happy, bubbly person. I'm sure you guys have gotten that vibe from me already, especially when I jumped on the call with you and really made a great first impression.
It was amazing.
But so that's my normal natural demeanor. So it takes a fair amount for me to, deviate from that. But I'm human. I have those days too. And it's not the fact that I can't be impacted, because it's the same as you guys doing your jobs. Like, you're not freaking robots. But just, learning to take care of myself means that I can show up for others really, really well with a lot of capacity, whether it's my children, whether it's my partner, whether it's my family, whether it's, a first responder client. So that's kind of really what I feel like is my, the best course of action.
Yeah. I mean, giving yourself grace. Right? Yeah. We're all human beings, 100%. Right? We give ourselves grace.
Hey, I think Matt, I took a note earlier. I wanted to circle back. That's what I was writing something down because I didn't want to forget about it. Erin, you mentioned earlier about peer support stuff back at home and how it's not really as existent. Is that something that you're trying to foster and maybe get started back there? Like, obviously you have connections back home in Australia. Is that something that you're trying to, get going and taking advice from people here in departments here? Because Kenny obviously knows. Kenny was on peer support here for a long time. I'm on our peer support team. Is that something that you're trying to take little pieces from here and send back home to start?
I'm sort of more so just having conversations with people back home and sort of seeing where they're at. And I know that the fire service is a little more that way. I met a lovely firefighter when I was there on my last trip. So works for Fire Rescue Victoria, and he's also an Army veteran. So he was saying, I think he had just become like a peer specialist and all that kind of thing. As far as I'm aware, in the police force, as in the police force I used to work for, it's still not a thing. But the organization that I am sort of, working towards hopefully contributing to and becoming a part of, they are founded by all current and former first responders and military veterans. So they provide training, education, all that kind of thing. So it's sort of hopefully, down the pipeline. But, Australia is the same size as the United States. We just have like less states and greater in size and a smaller population. So it would be a dream to be able to contribute in that way, but it's probably a little bit further down the track.
The closest I've been to Australia is Outback Steakhouse. Phenomenal steaks. Phenomenal.
I'm going to get you closer. No, I'm going to get you closer, Matt. When I was a youngin', now I'm the oldest one here, we had pen pals, right? Used to write to people. My pen pal was in Queensland, Australia. Do you know where that is?
There you go. Yes, I know where
Queensland. Sorry, 2 words. Yeah. I remember she sent me a sticker, and I put it on my dad's little beer cooler. It was great.
So Queensland is like the Florida of Australia.
Okay, that's a good way to put it. So everybody moves to?
It is some place that a lot of people escape to. And it's kind of like got the tropical aspect and all that kind of thing. So, I mean, I'm biased. I think everywhere in my country is beautiful, but
it's the one place I want to go to so bad. I can't stand it.
You got to strap your balls on though. It's a long flight.
Yeah.
It's very fast.
Strap them up, Doug. Oh, Doug's got big ones. So I wanted to go back to
says the guy who just posted a TikTok with his beanbag hanging out.
I didn't mean to. I swear.
Bro, Jesus Christ!
The train is derailing.
That's all right. I expected that to happen about like 20 minutes ago. So
yeah, right. We're late.
We're fine.
No, I think we started off pretty hot. So it'll be without the record. We didn't hit record yet.
You can share that one later.
Yeah. So one of my favorite words that you said is intentional, and I've tried to be So I do another podcast, the Radcast with Greg, and he brought that to me. And he's like, you got to be intentional about, you're already doing things to help yourself. Like you said, you are being intentional about getting up at 5 o'clock and having a regimen to keep yourself good so that you can help others.
Yeah.
Like that. And oh my gosh, you said the word selfish. I was like, what? Like, how is she, like, explain yourself, good woman, like that? There's no fucking way that you can call yourself selfish in doing the things that you're saying, but I can understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
You know, like,
you get so much joy out of helping people. That is why it almost feels selfish. I think I prefaced it with almost.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. And we'll listen back. No, I'm just kidding. But I just wanted to kind of like circle back a little bit about the intentional and talk about, you know, we had talked very briefly, like I said, before we hit record, about talking to a lot of our new firefighters and a lot of our wannabe firefighters and bringing awareness to PTS and to the trauma that we sustain that we don't always feel right off the bat in our job. Yep. And we do. And so being intentional about helping yourself from the beginning and getting in that regimen, staying healthy, doing things for yourself. Like, I mean, if it's just walking around the block barefoot to, you know, feel the earth, like that's a
grounding
way that you can be intentional.
Erin, I want to preface this. Matt's from California. Matt likes to sun his perineum, so he's into the grounding and all that stuff. So he's a perineum sunner.
I don't go as far.
He greets the sun in the morning.
I do, yeah. I don't go as far as the bleach, but I do.
He greets his son with his stink star.
Golly, this is insane. But I just wanted to bring that up. You know, like helping these new kids, be intentional about help yourself. Not necessarily, I mean, just to help yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To get through a 30-year career.
Absolutely. So, you know, I'm obviously, you know, partnered with someone who has done 24 years and still going. And it, you know, it takes its toll. But I have something, I call it like the 3 Ps. And you know, if you either listen to a podcast or a radio show, I bang on about it a lot. But it's, you know, doing things proactively, preventatively, and purposefully or with purpose. So same as with intention. So it's, I also look at it like, you know, we can look after ourselves and all that kind of thing. But there's also intentionality in figuring out what actually helps you, knowing yourself well, going to the effort to, you know, be introspective. So not everyone has that natural inclination to, and it's no fault. Like, you know, some people aren't overly curious about things, but there's that, you know, there's that Walt Whitman quote that kind of got famous from like Ted Lasso, and it's, you know, be curious, not judgmental. So be curious about yourself, because especially when it comes to, you know, if you are young and you're joining the fire service and, you know, either you currently have a partner or you know, your intention is to have a relationship at some point, the spouse of a first responder needs to know how to support you. But they can't support you adequately and appropriately if you don't inform them of the right way to support you, because it's not a one-size-fits-all thing, as you gentlemen, you know, would know well. How I support my husband would be different to how your partners show up and support you. So knowing yourself well, knowing how you respond to stress, knowing what helps, knowing what doesn't, what sort of behavior patterns do you sort of know, you know, a little risky, a little dangerous. They're okay, you know, in an acute sense of like, yeah, okay, like, you know, we've all had a rough shift where we've, you know, then gone to the pub and had a few drinks and talked it out and all that kind of thing. But like, are you doing that like once in a while, or are you starting to do that like after every shift? Like it's being observant, being noticeable, and being introspective about yourself. And being able to then communicate that to someone, because I think it's really easy to assume that people know what it is that you want when you need it and when you want it. And it's just not the case. Like, no one is a mind reader. And I don't know about you guys, like I've been married for 12 years. It was a learning curve, you know, like, and even having been a first responder myself, like I think it gave me a certain kind of insight, you know, and I guess like a healthy respect for the fact that he was already 12 years into his career. I'm not swanning in on year 12 and like completely changing how he copes. It's not like, oh, you know, hey babe,
come short courtship as well. You guys you said 9 months from first meeting your marriage. So
we
didn't
didn't
really
live together till like after we were married.
Yeah, so you really didn't have time to get to know each other and how.
So it's kind of like I had to learn, you know, what helped him. He had to learn to communicate that to me. You know, resentment is so incredibly common, I think, with these kinds of careers, because when communication isn't as good as it could be or it should be, you know, things get misconstrued and then resentment can build and grow. And I think that is one of the biggest killers of marriage and relationship is resentment.
Absolutely.
Because it just festers and it spreads and it poisons. And something, you know, I've spoken about before is, you know, you can have either a positive or a negative sentiment override when it comes to your relationship with someone. So basically you either see everything they do with like the best of intentions or everything they do with the worst of intentions, and there's malice behind everything. And it could be completely neutral, you know, it's like picking up and having a sip of your drink, but that can either be like innocuous or it can be like he's doing that on purpose because he's a fucking asshole and like it's all about that perception. So, you know, starting out, if you know yourself well and, you know, being able to communicate, like my hubby, he's old school. He's quiet, he's stoic. He's not coming home, even despite the work that I do. He's not coming home and you know, offloading everything onto me. He knows he can if he wants to when he needs to, but I'm also his wife. So I operate in a different frame of reference for him. But so we developed a code, which it happened very organically and strangely, but you know, being able to communicate not what has happened during his shift, but essentially where he is, like where his battery's at. So we call it, and I shared it at when I spoke in Denver at Level Up 2026, and it got a interesting reaction from the crowd. So we call it the sodomy scale.
Oh,
so it's yeah.
Rhett,
so it
Rhett,
kind of
Rhett, don't listen to this part. Rhett,
Sorry, Rhett.
Rhett, turn your computer off. We have a little kid named Rhett that listens to our show, and every time we curse, we say, sorry, Rhett.
Geez,
we actually made him a shirt.
sorry.
It's on the website. You can buy a shirt that says, sorry, Rhett.
Oh, Christ. All right.
Everything. No, you're good. So what's the sodomy scale? What's this all about?
I can't wait till he asks his parents.
Sorry, Rhett.
Sorry, Ron.
So we call it the sodomy scale, and it kind of just started off just, you know, I'd be like, hey babe, you know, how's your shift, how's your night, whatever, and not looking for details, but just, you know, do you like I do things that like just try to support him, you know, like he's a grown adult, but I love him and I want to show up and support him. So it's like, do you need to be left alone? Do you need me to make you some brekkie? I'll turn the sauna on for you, like put his vitamins out, like all the different things. But you know, so it would come out with like, oh, you know, it was not too bad, just like a bit of a polite reach around to you know, I got, you know, bent over the firehouse kitchen table type of thing. And then that's like mid-range. And then you go to like the end of the spectrum, and I'll be like, hey babe, you know, are you going to be home in time to walk the kids to school? And he's like, yeah, but can you call the ambulance so they can take me to hospital and nurse my bleeding asshole? So, you know. But that's our dynamic, you know. And he married a cop. I married a firefighter.
I love it. Oh my
shit.
God, that's amazing. You know, I'm going to use that with my wife. I'm going to use that.
We in our department,
She's
we call
really
it
good too.
Bohica. We call it Bohica. Bend over, here it comes again.
Oh
That's
my
right.
God, I like that.
That's right.
Yeah, so that's a little bit. Yeah, it's kind of the same.
So I shared that with a room of like, I don't know, about 350 people of like first responders and spouses in Denver when Kenny was there. So he opened and I closed the event, and I shared that one, and there was some giggles and some interesting comments and all that kind of thing, and a few like, oh, I'm using that one. And
to what degree was your anus violated last night?
Exactly. Basically, yeah. But awesome. but you know, so a huge part of our relationship is, you know, it's the give and take, and it's the you know, I lean in with a lot of compassion. Because I have that negative, I don't have that negative one. I have that positive sentiment override for him. You know, when he's tired and gruff and short and all that kind of thing, that happens after we do 24-hour shifts. So we're awake for 40 hours. I offer him that grace, and I lean in with compassion. And then humor is how we ride, you know, most things out. And that's what works for us. You know, it's very perfect. Individualistic and that, you know, other people might need like a traffic light system or a battery percentage, and that's okay too. But you know, it makes us laugh, it lightens the mood, especially if he's had like, you know, and it doesn't even have to have had like a really traumatic shift, but it's like, and again, going back to, you know, coming full circle about those new people, like even he says like, the thing that gets to everyone the most is the sleep deprivation.
Yeah.
And how
it doesn't have to be traumatic.
No.
It can be busy. It can be just mentally taxing from the what if. Like, it doesn't have to be trauma. It can be, like you said, the amount, the call volume.
And just be dealing with fuckwits. Like,
even if you only get up once or twice a night, if it breaks, you know, an hour and a half of sleep, wake up. Hour and a half of sleep, wake up. You're like, well, what now my night's like ruined. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's brutal.
And it's that constant like adrenaline, cortisol rush,
it's the up, down. And I try to make sense of that to my wife. I'm like, it's something you have to experience to understand it. I'm like, if I call you at 2 a.m. and say, hey, get up, get dressed, I need you out of the house within 2 minutes. I need you in the car. I want you to drive to Food Line to the grocery store, which is 12 minutes from here.
Yeah.
Drive there. Sit there for 15 minutes, then drive back home and get into bed.
Yeah.
And go back to sleep.
Yeah.
That's how I try to rationalize it. And do that twice in the middle of the night between 10 a.m. and 7 a.m.
Oh, at least twice. Like, you know.
And see how it affects you go from, like you said, it's the up, down, and it's the mental exhaustion is what kills it. And I think that's part of the fatigue issue.
Absolutely.
Brian, did you have some questions? I have a whole other direction I want to go, but I want to offer you to be able to jump in here.
I see one in the chat over there I wanted to ask, but Brian's probably going to ask it.
Yeah, and I apologize if the delay is terrible. I want to get to the radio show. So for those who don't know, Erin is part of the same radio network that Kay Bill is on. So I want to make sure we get an opportunity for listeners to be able to go and listen to you on the live streaming web radio shows. So why don't you tell folks about that?
Yeah, no worries. So I'm a part of a radio station called the Thin Line Rock Station. So like Brian said, it is an internet-based one. They have their own app that you can download on your phone. They also run off iHeartRadio. And if you jump on their website, www.thethinlinerockstation.com, they have one of those links, and it's all different kinds of like the free internet radio type of things. Like you can listen on your laptop, you can listen everywhere, but essentially pretty much all of the hosts are either current or former first responders. You've got some military veterans, all that kind of thing. So I've been doing it for, I want to say a bit over 18 months now. So I'm trying to think how long K-Bill's been on. I want to say maybe 6 months or so. But yeah, like the mission is basically just to support, you know, the people showing up in uniform day in and day out, and very eclectic mix of music. And each host sort of brings something different, you know, some, you know, just a bit of fun, you know, obviously my wheelhouse is talking about mental health and wellness for the first responder community. so that can entail anything, you know. I've done shows on suicide. I've done shows on, you know, silly things. But actually, I did do a show on golf being a really good coping mechanism and strategy, and went through all of the ways that you can explain it to your wife as to why it's really beneficial and good for your mental health. So, you know, there's we can have like a little bit of fun with it, but it's basically just a way to reach people where they're at. And I, you know, sort of choose to think that it's like a little bit of osmosis, you know. They kind of might have it on in the background and they might hear something that I say or something, you know, one of the other hosts talk about, and might just plant a seed and have a think about it later, and then they get to, you know, listen to some good tunes. So it's honestly some of the most fun I have all week.
So a little follow-up question to that. You guys have a 24-hour day that's coming up soon. Let's put a little plug in for that about what's coming up. Our listeners can be sure to tune.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, so we are doing a 24-hour live broadcast event. So it's taking place in Arizona. So I'm flying out to Arizona for it. So it is on Thursday, the 21st of May. So coming up in a couple of weeks. And we go live at 4 p.m. And then we stay live until the following 4 p.m. on the Friday. So it's essentially a fundraising opportunity. So we have sponsorship available. So that can be, you know, businesses and all that kind of thing with like tiered level sponsorship who will get, mentioned throughout the roving broadcast. And equally, even just, you know, your average listener, there's a Venmo code that people can just, you know, donate $5 or $10 just because, hey, I'll donate what I would, you know, pay to have a cup of coffee and just to get involved. So it's raising money not only for the radio station itself, because obviously music licensing is incredibly expensive. We really wanted to choose a charity. So we are donating a portion of our proceeds to an organization called First Help, who collate all of the suicide statistics for the first responders. They provide education, training, all that kind of thing. They're a great 501c3. And equally, obviously, the reason for the 24-hour is to emulate the shifts that you find gentlemen do, and firefighters and paramedics do. You know, that's what you guys do a couple of times a week. You stay up for 24 hours, so that's why we're doing it too. So I'm looking forward to it, and we're having guests on and all that kind of thing. So if anyone is interested in getting involved in sponsoring, in wanting to be a guest and donating anything like that, they're happy to either reach out to the station or they can reach out to me or any of the other DJs and get involved.
Awesome.
DJ
so while
Erin.
we're talking about it, right. While we're talking about it, what was the ways to get a hold of the station and you?
Yeah, sure. So we are both on all of the social media platforms. So The Thin Line Rock Station, and their website is www.thethinlinerockstation.com. And myself on the socials, I'm under Erin Jane Coaching, and you can find me my website www.erinjanecoaching.com. And yeah, always happy to get an email, DM, for anything for the radio station, for topics for me to talk about, podcast guest, coaching opportunities, speaking opportunities, anything. I'm always open to it. The best way that I can help.
Awesome. So, I got a question.
Okay. Here we go.
Okay, Doug.
Do I need to take a sip first? All right, hold on.
I mean, maybe it's back to the topic at hand. So now that you're working with first responders, what patterns do you see over and over again? What are firefighters and cops really good at hiding, but it's obvious to you? You know, you talk about the gap between peer support and therapy. Where are people getting lost at?
I think mostly the fear of speaking up, and the fear of who they're talking to, and the fear of jeopardizing their job. That's kind of, I think, what I come across a lot, is that they have been resistant to seek help because, and especially say, for police officers, if they admit to struggling with their mental health, they're worried about their firearm being taken off them. And I guess the unique thing in this country is everyone's healthcare is tied to their employment. That's not normal. But it is the reality of this country, unfortunately. So, that comes into play for a lot of people. I think we were talking maybe offline about, getting to that retirement age and all that kind of thing. Like if you're still looking at another 5, 10, 15 years of a career that you feel like you need to get through to reach that pension age, to put your kids through college, all that kind of thing, there is not even just like stigma, but there is fear, there is shame, there is not knowing how to put into words what it is that they're experiencing, not understanding what it is that they're experiencing. And essentially the parts that control, your speech, and then the parts that control your emotion, they're two separate parts of the brain. So when you are, experiencing really overwhelming emotions, you can't always put it into words. So that's why I'm obviously like a big proponent for, essentially talk therapy, or just having those conversations and holding that space for people. But it doesn't have to be that, that is very, can be very confronting for people. And I also look at it too. And part of the reason why I became a coach, because first responders, we like to be in control. That is what we know.
Very type A. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's so relinquishing a sense of control is very, very challenging. And especially if we feel like something might be quote unquote wrong. Experiencing a mental health challenge, it doesn't mean that there is anything wrong with you. It means that you're freaking human.
But it's viewed internally as weakness.
Yes. Yeah. So
I'm having a weak, vulnerable moment, and I'm not a weak, vulnerable person. I can't. This can't be me.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's obviously one of those barriers as well. So it's and we see it with the suicide statistics, and that comes back to the sleep deprivation. It comes back to you think about obviously post-traumatic stress. You come back to burnout. You come back to essentially a lot of the things that plague this population is a dysregulated nervous system. So number one, you don't know what you're experiencing and what's causing it. There's something that feels off. Your partner or your loved ones or your kids are noticing that something's off. But essentially as well, like trauma, sleep deprivation, all that kind of thing can affect our prefrontal cortex, which is that logical part of our brain. It's the logical part of your brain that when you are having some, suicidal ideation, it's going to be the one to be like, let's not. And if that guard is already down because you are experiencing some trauma, because you are completely sleep deprived, because you are chronically burnt out and, lacking compassion and all of the things, and maybe engaging in, maladaptive coping strategies, it's a recipe for disaster. So it's, I don't have all of the answers, obviously, and I wish that I did.
Nobody does. Yeah.
I try to help out in the best way that I can. I'm a bit of a nerd, so I sort of go down weird sort of rabbit holes in terms of the things that I research. So, then that's like my topic for the next, radio station show. Even like, and you guys would know, like getting exposed to, I think it's the hydrogen fluoride when the EV batteries burn and the effects that has on you guys. Like that happened to my hubby. He was nauseous for months. He had memory issues, and it's, and that was like a couple of years ago. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to treat it.
Right. Yeah.
And he still had it in his system like 6 or 7 months later. So there's so much to be mindful of that. I think it's just trying to take away that element of fear. So again, sort of, I guess, coming full circle of, positioning myself as a coach. Like I'm not a mental health clinician. That's a little bit further down the path for me. But, when it comes to coaching, like the person chooses what we talk about. I'm not there like trying to, ask you questions about your childhood and do you hate your mother and all that kind of shit. Like you're coming to me and being like, oh, like I want to work on this or I want to talk about this. I'm like, all right, cool, let's go. Yeah. So you have to be engaged. I'm not like dragging you there kicking and screaming. That's not the point. So the person has to be engaged, but because there is that element of control that you guys get to maintain, that's where I think it can be a little bit more of an in. And I'm outside of, insurance network. I'm outside of EAP. Like no one knows you're coming to me. So that's sort of, again, where I try to meet that population where they're at. They don't have to tell anyone. I'm not telling anyone that you're seeing me. So it's just a conversation. That's it. And it's on you to make those changes.
That's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. The fact that you just said what you said. So I'm going to say a statement. Okay. In your opinion, you just say true or false. You can give like a brief thing, right? It's very easy.
Okay.
In your opinion, mental health awareness, the stigma of mental health awareness is getting better.
I do think it's true. I think it's getting better. I think people of our age were raised differently. We were raised by behaviorists who were a little more concerned about, sit there, shut up, act accordingly, all that kind of thing. Yeah, like, many of you are probably like Gen Xers. I'm just shy of that. I'm a Zennial or whatever they call them. Yeah. But, whereas I think this generation is a little more aware and in touch with their emotional side because they have been raised with a little more nuanced understanding of emotional regulation. Like I know I'm raising my boys, in that way. I think there's a challenge because there is an old school element that is still very much like, don't talk about it, suck it up. We used to have a thing in my police force where it was like, here, take a can of concrete and harden the fuck up. But that doesn't get you anywhere. So I do think it's better.
I love that.
But
Doug's gonna steal that, by the way.
I mean, to be fair, so did I at the time. It's like a
can of spinach for Popeye.
Popeye, exactly.
Take this concrete and harden the fuck up, you sissy.
But yeah, I don't know. Sorry. Do you agree, disagree?
I do.
Yeah,
I do agree, and it's because of conversations like this. It's because of what you're doing. It's because of what Kenny's doing. It's because we're continuing these great conversations all across the country. And dude, I don't want. It's like this things at work this guys at work, because I've got a guy coming down to talk about resilience and mental health, and they're giving me like a couple guys are like, I don't understand, like what is he going to do? You're going to teach us about our feelings and stuff. And it's like, that's the stigma, right? That's the
guy that's been divorced fucking 3 times already. And he doesn't understand why. You know what I mean? Like, his life's in shambles and he doesn't know why. Like, that's because you're
I won't go that far because these guys aren't, but I will say, I'll just say the word yet, right? Like yet. It all affects us differently. You know what I mean? And just being aware and understanding what those feelings feel like. You know what I mean? To talk to the new guys. We're sitting here talking about how you're going to have 30 years of PTS. Like, this is the greatest job in the world. Let's not be wrong. This is an amazing job where we get to go out and we get to help people all the time. It's just that, because of that, we have some things that come at us that, normal human beings don't normally see dead people all the time. They might see 2 dead people in their entire life.
Maybe. Yeah.
Right. One or 2 dead people. And most of the time it's grandma, you know what I mean? But like, we see dead people flattened on the side of the road. Like, okay, cool. Yeah. Or, whatever.
In several pieces.
Right. And so it's just not normal. And so it's just about bringing awareness and my favorite word, I'll bring it back again, is intentional. Being intentional about helping yourself. So as a new guy, just be intentional. Come up with a plan to create resilience for yourself so that you can help other people.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, you're going to go out and you're going to help other people regardless.
Yeah.
But those people and their trauma and your trauma that you sustain is going to end up hurting you over 30 years. And it's not going to take that long. Yeah. And how do we know that? Because firemen are still killing themselves, Erin.
Yeah.
Right? And they're still drinking themselves to death. And they're still popping pills.
And,
getting divorced. And I tell
having
my wife.
affairs.
I tell my wife, I go, I don't understand why there's so much divorce in the fire service. It doesn't make sense to me because I go, the time away kind of like makes my heart grow fonder for my wife.
Absolutely.
And like, I work 48 hours. I get to come home for 96. So I get to be with my family that I've missed over 48 hours but we have a good network and we have good communication and we have a plan. Just like you said, you have your sodomy plan. Mine might be a battery. I don't know. But we have a plan but that's all it is, guys. We're not talking about sitting here and singing fucking kumbaya fucking in a circle going, whoa, what's your problem today? Like, no, that's not what we're talking about. Just
it's
being
really
aware.
that simple. It's that simple. Matt, you fucking nailed it.
Well, as well, I think one of the key things to educate people on too is part of it is biological. Part of it, like you can't control, like the same as like you can't control when your stress response activates, right? We're learning that we can control when we slip back into our parasympathetic nervous system. And that's through breathing, that's through, grounding exercises, all that kind of thing. There are, splashing cold water on your face, like all that kind of thing.
Sun in your perineum.
I'm going to leave that one for you guys.
I'm not going to be inappropriate. Douglas, you're being inappropriate.
No, you do it.
All right, you're right. I've slowed down.
Yeah, you don't want to get burnt down there.
Hey, I mean, we could go on and on and on and on. This is just like so amazing. I'm glad that we got in this because I was going to I wanted to get the hater thing in there, like, and the stigma, there's still those guys out there that pound their chest and the pride thing. And it's just not, it's not healthy. It's not going to end well.
No, it's not. But I think it's like, if you can, so part of how we respond to trauma, it's a normal reaction to an abnormal event. I'm not the first to coin that. Like that is like a well-known thing. So equally part of experiencing some symptoms, I'm going to preface it, some symptoms of either acute stress disorder or post-traumatic stress, part of that is normal human functioning after trauma. It is our response to it. But where it becomes an issue is when it comes to like the criteria or meeting some of the criteria of those disorders, injury, whatever you want to call it. But it's when it, starts to impact your life. Obviously with post-traumatic stress, it's when symptoms have gone for, longer than 4 weeks and there's a whole bunch of criteria. But like our roles is meeting one of the criterias. Part of what it is that, we do it, meeting part of that criteria. So it's not the fact of being impacted and experiencing, emotional dysregulation and having flashbacks and nightmares and, avoidant behaviors and all that kind of thing that can come around with it, right? A lot of that is physiological, whether it's part of your brain, whether it's your system, all that kind of thing. So it's like, I think kind of almost like trying to take away the personalization of like you're weak and you can't cope and all that kind of thing. Like and I'm sure you guys have like probably read it. There's a, operator syndrome by Dr. Chris Free, like goes into detail about how these roles, either in, military roles, as first responder roles. I think he did a paper focusing just on, firefighters as well. It's the physiological impact of these roles. So it doesn't it's not because you're a fucking weak prick that you can't cope. It is a physiological reaction that has built up over time. Shut up, Doug.
Fucking Doug.
I'll end my TED talk there, but I think educating people with like, the fact that it's nothing personal. It's actually physiological. And the sooner that you realize that, recognize it, be proactive in looking after yourself, then you are not completely taking away the risk factor, because we still do these roles, but lessening the impact, or being able to recognize it early and then proactively addressing it, so it doesn't, so it stops here and it doesn't progress all the way over to here, to a diagnosis, to, a drinking problem, to a divorce, to infidelity, to all of the things that it can spiral out of control into.
Recognition, I think, is the biggest word you just said, and all that. You have to recognize it internally. And we talked about this with Kenny. Like, it's how do we improve, your self-recognition? Well, that comes down to you, man. Like, you've got to understand, like, look, my wife, my kids, my coworkers are saying that my mood is off. Yeah. Maybe I need to self-reflect and say something is wrong right now. Yeah. And I need to address that. It's okay to say I need to address that. It's okay to not be okay.
Absolutely.
It's not okay to stay not okay.
Yeah.
Sure. And that's why it's not necessarily okay to not be okay. But I half agree with that.
Yeah, recognition. Yeah. But recognition is the key.
Yeah. But it's also, there's such a broad spectrum of ways to go about finding healing. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah,
like,
for sure.
So it's not just like, oh, I have to go lie on a couch and fucking, talk about my childhood and whatever else, or I don't have to, I don't know if I'm ready to go and unprocess like 20 years of fucking firefighter trauma, but starting somewhere, like journaling, practicing gratitude, doing mindfulness meditation, like
breathing is big.
Yes, absolutely. Like box breathing, like any of them, deep diaphragmatic breathing, like just writing, like doing like a writing prompt and just writing like what comes to you for like 7 minutes or 6 minutes or something like that. There's like different ways to, decompress, and equally having a decompression practice after your shift, really important too. Whether that's just showering, changing your uniform, taking the long way home, stopping and getting a coffee, going and sitting somewhere for half an hour. Like, everyone's needs and environment is different, but having that sort of wind down time too is equally really, really important.
Yeah, Matt and I both have long drives to and from work, so it's like I said, I have my little system that I have when I'm coming home from work. Going to work, I'm just like, but yeah, coming home, I shower before I leave work. Yeah. I have a little system I do. I stop at Wawa, maybe, yep.
Yeah.
Well, Erin, we're at about an hour and 20 minutes, I think, on the podcast. So
okay.
We're going to have you back on, because I think there's another hour and 20 minutes that we could easily talk about. This has been like way more fun than just talking to Doug. So I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm just kidding.
I think they love me, honestly, but I don't know.
We have to do like a quick turnout drill with you.
It's a tough love.
Yes, tough love. We have to do like a really quick turnout drill. So one thing that we do is we just ask you to name a number between 1 and 100, and we have a random set of questions here. We'll ask you a couple questions, and then we'll head out.
Okay, sounds good. 27.
Number 27 says, "What was your favorite childhood cartoon?"
Ooh.
Oh, Jesus.
Coming up as an Aussie.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was just thinking.
Oh, we might not know.
Yeah.
It's probably nothing we've ever seen. Yeah.
It was like, it was this
Crash Bandicoot.
It was this short little one that used to be on the ABC, and it was called Super Ted. I think that was the one that I sort of remember the most.
Okay. Super Ted.
Yeah, you guys
I think if we saw it, we'd probably recognize it.
I'm old. Right, I'm closing in on 50. I'm old.
Two more numbers.
7.
7. Number 7 says, "Should chili have beans?"
Ooh.
Sorry?
Should chili have beans in it?
I had no idea what you just said before. I was like, what?
Yeah. Aussie to Boston.
Beans. Black beans.
I'm with it.
Okay.
I love black beans, so yes.
Me too. I put black beans in my chili. I love black beans.
Oh.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. One last number.
77? Did you say 1 to 100?
77.
Yeah. Double sevens.
Hard 14. Let's go. What's the best purchase you've ever made under $50?
Oh, under $50. Interesting.
Best purchase.
This is a first. We've never had this question.
Okay. Best purchase under $50.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's a tough one.
Shit, it is. I would probably say like some kind of like cute like handbag or something like that. Something that was like I treated myself to because I'd like
treat yourself.
Yeah, well, I'm normally like I'll be like, oh, I really want that or I need that, so like let's work hard to feel like I've earned it. I think that's sort of
perfect. See,
what I'll do.
And you're being intentional about doing something for yourself in order to, be there for other people.
Exactly.
Look at that, full circle, folks. I mean, this is the Cool Fireman Podcast.
It just writes itself, doesn't it?
It does. It's incredibly easy. Erin, again, thank you so much. Everybody can find her at the Thin Line Rock Station. Mm-hmm. They're going to do their live 24-hour Shindig fundraiser on May 21st, right? From 4 p.m. to 4 p.m. the 22nd.
That's it.
And and then follow her, all of her Instagrams, which will be in the show notes. So go ahead and click those and give her a follow. Erin, you've been amazing. Kenny was right.
Wow.
You filled the shoes that he has put before you. We appreciate it.
Not his terrible cowboy boots, I hope.
Oh, gosh. No, those things stink.
Why are they terrible? No. Because they're so pointy. He's got the pointy ones.
He's got like little toes or something.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
Let's not talk about Kenny with feet, okay?
Yeah. No, that's a whole separate conversation.
Them pointy toes. He ain't never rode a horse. I'll tell you that.
Oh God! All right, very good. Well, again, thank you for everything that you do, Erin. You're making the world go round and round and round a lot easier than it would if we didn't have you. So thank you.
Thank you.
That's been the Cool Fireman Podcast. The way that we usually sign off is we say roll it, Gigi. So if you want to roll us out, Erin.
Roll it, Gigi.
Roll it, Gigi.
Before you leave, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and give these firemen a huge thumbs up. Also, make sure you check out thecoolfireman.com for more. Thanks!